My training week starts on Sunday because Sunday sits leftmost on the calendar. Sunday, I make it a focused effort to move as much as possible, ideally outdoors. I'm thinking endurance. I essentially want to be like a mule. So what I'll do on that day is, because sometimes it's a social day with other people in my life, if I'm on my own, I'll throw on a 8 or 10 pound weight vest. They have these thinner ones now that aren't these mirror vests. And I'll head out for probably a 75-minute to a 90-minute slow jog with some hills. And I'll try and nasal breathe the whole time. I'll often listen to a podcast or a book. Sometimes I'll just let my mind drift. That's if I'm on my own. If I'm with other people, what I will do is I'll fill up a backpack with a bunch of heavy stuff, usually some water in there too, and drink it as I go. And I'll do 3 or 4 or 5 hours of just hiking and just trying to be outside as much as possible. The specific goal of that day is endurance. Just keep going. And what I notice is, because of the other things I do in the previous days, that the 10 or 20 minutes, which that come at the start, really suck. Like, I either want to go faster or like these little aches and things. But what's amazing is somewhere in that 25, 30 minute period, you start to feel really good. You actually start to adapt to it right then. You kind of go, okay, this is about the heart rate I'll use. This is about the breathing rate.
So this is what is happening at that point?
Yeah.
Physiologically,
yeah,
or neurologically, or both?
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned neurologically. I think physiologically, they're the standard things that happen during exercise. You're getting warmer, so joints are more fluid. Your cardiovascular system is able to fuel the relevant muscles, but you're not shuttling too much fuel to specific muscle groups, et cetera. Because of course I could be stressed when I start that. I could be relaxed. I could be tired, depending on how well I slept the night before. But neurologically, what happens is really important. And we know this from data. What you're starting to do is you're starting to incorporate what are called central pattern generators. Central pattern generators are what allow you to engage in a repeated movement without voluntary attention to it. Very different than, say, squatting or front squatting or doing curls or something where you're trying to focus on each rep. Fundamentally different.
It's like the autopilot button appears on your steering wheel after 30 minutes.
That's right. And at that point, your mind can really attend to other things. And of course, as your body warms up, you're also able to achieve much more output. So you actually are getting better and more efficient as you progress. So these Sunday long, slow jogs or hikes are really for my mind as much as they are for my body. And I'm convinced that they also carry over to my ability to endure boring stuff during the week, but also just my ability to work longer for longer bouts. Okay, so that's Sunday. Also gets me outside a lot. And oftentimes on Monday, because of the constraints of the work week, I'm not going to be able to be outside as much as I would like. So myself on Instagram. I started doing tib work about 2 years ago, seriously doing tib work. So tibialis raises, you can do this also leaning against a wall at an angle with your back against the wall and your feet out in front of you with your heels on the ground and touching your toes to the ground and then lifting them up for repetitions of 25 to 30. Or if you can have a tibialis, a tib raise machine as they're called, that's great. I warm up with tib work. Why? Training my tibs, as they're called, has
tibs of the new biceps.
Tibs of the new, definitely makes the calf work more effective. Never could grow calves or get my calves strong, gotten them, substantially bigger and stronger by training tibs. But more importantly, perhaps, helps posture, got rid of my right side sciatica. I always had this right side kind of leaning in pain, and I can forgive I'm going to get teased for saying this. For me, anyway, I can run like a beast now. No knee pain, no back pain, no shoulder pain. I can just run and run and run. And so training your tibs turns out to be key, and it turns out it has everything to do with bring your toe, we'll avoid jargon here, bring your toe closer to the kneecap as you generate your stride, not having the floppy feet. So if you lay down at night and your toes are just kind of flopping towards the end of the bed, your tibs are weak. A lot of people with knee issues have weak tibs. So I start with tib raises. So it's gonna be a couple warm-ups, maybe a 12 rep warm-up, an 8 rep warm-up. And then I'll do, 3 sets per tib of anywhere from 6 to 10 reps. Okay. Andy Galpin told me, and the literature supports, people like Brad Schoenfield and others have shown that for hypertrophy, for muscle growth, 6 to 30 reps, anywhere in there can get you hypertrophy if you go to failure and if you go hard. I personally like to keep my resistance workouts an hour or less. I like to train in the more or less the 5 to 10 repetition range for strength and for hypertrophy. And I'm kind of going for a mix of both. So I train tibs, then I do sled or standing calf raises. Same thing, 2 to 4 sets, 5 to 8, maybe 10 repetitions.
Are these sets to failure?
These are sets to failure. And, long ago I had gift of learning from the great Mike Menser, and these are sets to failure. Like I can't budge another micro inch, but I'm not quaking and I'm not breaking form. I'm trying to keep everything nice and taut and rigid because I can't afford an injury at this point. Not because I'm a competitive athlete.
Flaccid feet. No flaccid calf feet.
Yeah. I'm telling you, the tib work is a game changer. So I'm training calves. That takes about 10, 15 minutes total. I try and move relatively quickly through that. So 2 to 3 minutes rest, maybe 4 if I'm going for a heavy set. Then I'm weaker in the hamstrings than I am in my quads. So I do 2 warm-ups and then 2 to 4 working sets of lying leg curls. Very standard stuff.
Lying leg curls meaning on a machine.
Yeah, on a machine.
Not like reverse.
Yeah, like a Nautilus machine
Got
or something. Not seated, doesn't work for me. Just lying leg curls.
Yep.
And not the hoist machines that move with you to make it easier. No. And maybe the occasional force rep if somebody's there, to help me. Then I go do 2 to 4 sets, but typically 3 of glute ham raises, which is an incredible exercise. The equipment isn't in every gym, but I'm doing, about 3 or 4 sets of glute ham raises, going slow. And, this is basically like if you were going to do a deadlift. Everyone knows what a deadlift is, but now take the ground and rotate it 90 degrees and make it the wall. That's what a glute ham raise really is. It allows you to do a deadlift, but then at the top, do a leg curl. So then I'm done with calves and hamstrings, and then I'll do 2 or 3 sets of leg extensions. So maybe a warm up and then 2 or 3 sets of working leg extensions, which for whatever reasons are incredibly painful. I hate them, but they work to isolate the quads. And then 2 or 3 sets of working hack squats after a warm up. Hack squats, heavy. And then I'm done. I'm out. Training the legs is key. And so, as I said before, there are 2 goals. One is to get the legs stronger. The other is that I'm trying to create a systemic anabolic effect on the body.
Yeah, I was just about to say, if you want to lose body fat also, the systemic sort of endocrine / anabolic effect from doing this lower body exercise.
Tuesday is really about getting the maximum effect of heat exposure and cold exposure. And when I've done multiple episodes on each one of those, I learned about deliberate cold exposure from you, so thank you, Tim. I do a protocol which is pretty intense, designed to amplify growth hormone, stimulate a bunch of positive mood promoting hormones that last not just days, but weeks, say the literature, and just get better at it. So I'll do 20 minutes of sauna, hot sauna.
What does hot mean?
I'm up to 260 now.
Okay.
260, but I worked up to that. 20 minutes in the sauna, very hot, 3 to 5 minutes in the cold plunge up to the neck, back into the sauna for 20 minutes, back into the cold plunge for 3 to 5 minutes, back into the sauna for 20 minutes, back into the cold plunge for 3 to 5 minutes. It's work, but it's amazing in the sense that you recover very well from the leg day. You generate all the hormone neurotransmitter type of adaptations that one wants, and you get very, very good at tolerating heat and cold. Then Wednesday, I do one of 2 things. I'm either going to do a shorter duration than Sunday cardiovascular training workout. So I'm thinking about 5 minutes of warm up and then about 25 to 30 minutes of usually running for me, where I'm just trying to get out and cover as much distance as I can at a fast clip, but steady. So I'm not sprint, stop. That's typically what I'll do on Wednesday. Although if my legs are still a little bit sore, that's when I'll train. And here the bodybuilders are just going to go, they're going to scoff. I train what I call torso. What do? I try to get pushing through the chest and shoulders. I'm trying to pull for the back. I already got my lower back with the glute ham raises. So what I tend to do is overhead shoulder presses after a warm up, 2 to 3 sets, working sets, or maybe 4. I like ring dips and dips these days. Those are hard for me, but I, 2 or 3 work sets of those. So chest, shoulders, and I'm going to upset some people here, but I don't tend to train back every week. I do it every other week because I have some genetic abnormality where those grow really easily and I can throw proportions off really quickly. But I might do 3 or 4 sets of chins, sort of max rep chins, slow, with slow eccentric movements, the lower end as well.
Now, slow eccentric, 4 seconds, 10 seconds, what are we talking about?
Yeah, usually about 4 or 5 seconds, and then slowly pulling up, contracting whatever muscle group. So all of the movements are done at trying to move as much weight as possible, as quickly as possible on the concentric phase, and then lowering it anywhere from 2 to 4 seconds, loading it like a spring and then trying to explode. I want strength, I want explosiveness, and some hypertrophy sneaks in because I'm working in that, 5 to 8 rep range. So that's what I call torso because it's chest, shoulders, back. Every other week I'll throw in those chins. And I think everyone has a muscle group like this where if they train it just grows like a weed, but I want to keep proportions right, strength proportions as well. And I do train my neck that day as well. So if for whatever reason I do the cardio workout that I mentioned, the 25 or 30 minutes of running, that's what I do. But some people might do it on the assault bike or something like that, or cycling or rower. On the Wednesday, then I'll do that weight workout I just described, torso, on Thursday, or I'll swap them. So there's some flexibility built into the week, travel, etc. Then Friday is a really important day because Friday is the day that I do a short workout, usually only about 3 minutes of warm up and about 12 minutes of training. And the goal is to get my heart rate as high as I possibly can. I learned this from Andy Galpin. Just increasing VO2 max, getting those really fast twitch muscle fibers. My favorite way to do this is I'll get on the assault bike, which are the ones with the handles with the fan, which is not designed to keep you cool. It's designed to create resistance, folks. And do 20-second on sprint, 10-second rest, 20-second on, 10-second rest. Tabata type thing for 6 to 8 rounds. And then what I like to do is take a band and tie it to something like a chin-up bar or something, and I'll squat down and jump. And I'll do as high jumping as I possibly can, but I actually control the eccentric. I'm holding the band as I come down. And so I learned from Peter Attia, I've learned from Andy Galpin that our ability to jump and land is strongly correlated with physical longevity. Or you could do broad jump. So you could do a bunch of broad jumps, you could do some HIIT workout, and then I'm just showered and out the door to go do my work. To work. So it's a really short workout. And then Saturday is the fun one because I'm still enjoy this. I'll go into the gym in the morning, usually it's mid-morning, and I'll do small muscle groups, biceps, triceps, rear delts. I'll do another tib and calf workout, a little bit lighter than the one on leg day because leg day is coming in 2 days, and the next day I'm doing that long hike. So that day is really to round out the smaller muscle groups that need work. And I have short torso, long arms, and so torso muscles grow very easily for me, get stronger easily. Long arms, they require a little bit more work, so I like to do a dedicated day for that. Same way, warm up plus 2 to 4 work sets of 2 to 3 exercises. I always include dips at some point during the week. Bench dips, tricep extensions with cables, basic stuff, preacher curls, kind of incline curls. So very basic stuff. But I just want to backtrack one step because I failed to say that Friday, the idea is to get that VO2 max up. But guess what? It's also designed to indirectly hit the legs. We hit legs on Monday.
Oh, yeah.
And they've recovered. We now know that protein synthesis maximizes after these training workouts at about 48 hours and then starts to taper off. Now, you read that, you hear that a lot, especially on social media, and people think you have to hit a muscle group every 48 hours. But no, you hold on to the protein synthesis you generated for another couple of days. So that Friday sprint on the bike workout or sprint on a field workout and jumping is indirectly targeting the quads and calves and hamstrings. And so you're keeping them online for hypertrophy.